Stop messing around, stop fooling around, stop delaying, stop procrastinating. Get up, get out, get it done. Everything is possible, nothing is a problem, and anything can be overcome. I just get my ass up out of bed, I get my shit together, and I get out and I start the fight. And that will transform you from a mere mortal into a superhuman being. I've never, ever, ever met anybody who told me that they got rich watching their IRA or their 401k.
All right, welcome to the Daily Cash Flow. How you doing, Peter?
George, we're daily cash flowing remotely today.
I know, yeah, we're really embracing the 2022 of it all.
I'm all for it, man.
Yeah, it's nice.
Gives me lots of time. I hope our audience appreciates the low rent vibe of this production.
I think they will. I think people appreciate that. I think also they can consume it while they're at home, so we'll be in our homes.
Because they couldn't consume it at home before.
Well, yeah, exactly. But we'll be in our homes, they'll be in their homes, and we'll all be home. It'll be nice. Anything you want to touch on before we jump into it?
No.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. The one thing that I want to start off with is something you brought to my attention. I think it was like 2 years ago. You brought up Icon's 3D printing technologies, and you were bringing it up in the context of housing innovation.
They optioned some land in Texas to build 100 3D printed homes as a test.
Yeah.
And my comment, I remember this, and my comment back to you was, I bet you a nickel that they option land all over the country as much as possible so that they could hurry up and crank out 3D printed homes if, in fact, the Texas test site worked out.
Yeah. And so I guess the Texas test site is working pretty well because they just got a contract with NASA for construction on the moon.
This is the same conversation, but a different flavor that we've been having for the past 2 years. They're going to build houses on the moon. New York is creating more land at the southern tip of Manhattan, where there is water right now. Cities and states everywhere are rezoning, upzoning, revisiting highest and best uses. Everyone's trying to figure out what to do with the land that they have. Everyone's trying to figure out how to get more land. And it's land, land, land. Period. End of discussion. There's no more, right? If ever there was a truer phrase that we've heard our whole lives, land, they ain't making more of it. It's right now. You're telling me that Icon just got a contract to build on the moon.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know. I even know who owns the moon to issue that contract. I guess we do.
That's the thing that blew my mind is I feel like that has to be, I'm not hearing any feedback from.
Well, it's got our flag on it.
Yeah, but I'm not hearing any feedback from other nations. But that would concern me if I was another nation.
George, have you checked with the other nations?
I have not personally, no.
Okay, all right.
No, I'm not close enough with them.
But wild. So look, whatever. I mean, I think we own the moon because it's our flag that's there, and I guess that means it's our government's right to issue contracts to Icon Development for develop. I don't know. What are they going to develop? Housing?
I think, maybe eventually, but I think it's kind of like the satellite where there's certain like laboratory tests that only they can do in that setting. And so
sounds to me like someone wants to get money flowing to Icon, and this was already set up like some sort of space exploration, construction, whatever was from like a previous bill. It was already set up. I think it's very cool. And I think it is the same conversation as adding more land to the southern tip of Manhattan and building in Saudi Arabia, building the mile. I think it's all the same discussion. And it's good. And this is exactly what we said had to happen. You got to think outside the box. You have to do stuff that's going to move the needle. You can't like approve or disapprove little projects here and there and expect that anything's going to change. You need crazy, like never before thought comprehensible and possible ideas.
Yeah, paradigm breaking. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, thank you. That's a better phrase.
You were saying just about, these massive changes that need to happen and looking for land anywhere. So I want to transition from outer space to underwater. I heard this thing with there's 4 acres of quote unquote waterfront property.
Yeah,
was listed in Boca Raton.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. So it's listed for 43 million, but
43 million, but it's underwater.
Yeah,
but it's waterfront. It's just underwater and waterfront. So
is this an example of something that is like forward thinking, or do you would you yourself as an investor be like, no, I'm not going to do that? That's ridiculous.
Well, I don't know the geotech reports, and I don't know the science behind doing infill on top of the land that's underwater so that it then becomes out of the water like normal coastal land. But that's a little freaky. You know, why is it underwater? Was it previously above the water and it got washed away? Or was it never above the waterline and now they're asking humans to just artificially make it above the waterline? It's freaky. I don't know that I'd invest in it, but it's a big win for someone who does. I think to buy that much land that's already developable and out of the water, like normal coastal land in that location, would probably be 10 times the price.
Right.
So you're getting a relative discount. All you need to do now is bring in the site guys, fill in all the dirt, do all the engineering, you know, and make it normal land. I guess you reinforce it with steel and whatever structural things you reinforce it with, and just dump a lot of dirt in there, and then poof.
Yeah, I think I read that the seller would do it for you. Like he'll do the landfill himself and build a seawall for, I think it was like 3.4 million extra or whatever, which doesn't seem that much.
Not a big deal. But this is the same thing as New York. This is the same thing as New York, infilling sand and land around the southern tip of Manhattan to create land where there was just water. Same thing. Incredible. Not what I do. And God bless the man or woman who can do that and put their money where their mouth is and actually get that deal done, because that's a hairy deal and a risky deal.
Yeah.
Not for everybody. It wouldn't be for me.
Yeah, just wondering, you know, last week you were saying, you know, any opportunity. So I just wanted to check on what that means.
Oh,
Exactly.
You know, any opportunity. Sure. I mean, I just from the comfort of my home office here, I can say, yeah, it's not for me. But if you plot me down there, maybe I'll figure it out and I'll see something. I'll be like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
But generally, I would say I'm not the kind of guy that would buy land that's underwater and expect to look someone in the eye and be like, this is a good deal. We got to build here.
Yeah, no, totally.
Because 99 out of 100 partners and investors and banks and insurance companies are going to be like, yeah, no, that would be my expectation.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about kind of keeping in the theme of kind of industries that are, some people are on fire about, some people aren't sure about. Leases for new grocery stores skyrocketed by like 200% last year compared to 2019. And South Florida in particular has been getting a lot of the action surrounding that, Publix and all that kind of stuff.
George, who got all the new residents moving in? Texas and Florida.
Texas and Florida.
And the Sun Belt. Yeah. And you're right. I don't love retail. The best retail is always the best retail. The best centers with AAA credit rated tenants, with, you know, Whole Foods and the big grocery chains and Chase Banks and Banks of America. And those are great properties. There's a handful. In every state, there's one or two markets that are the best markets for retail. And in every market, there's one or two or four, whatever, properties that are the best retail properties. But other than those, I don't love retail. You know, I want to have the best.
Yeah.
In a market where there's really strong demand and limited supply. You know, retail's sort of shaken out. We don't know what the best is. We don't know what the most in demand properties really are going to be. A lot of them are old and outdated. They have to be rebuilt or amended or added to or redeveloped in some way. But the best ones, the newest construction ones that have the most usable space, the best ceiling clearances, the most beautiful aesthetics to attract the best retail tenants, those are great properties. And malls are the same way. We talk a lot about the death of the shopping mall. But every state has like one great mall. You know, California has like, you know, 3 or 4. Florida has several. And Monmouth Mall, by our office here in New Jersey, Jared Kushner's project. It's a dead mall, but it's all going to get repurposed and redeveloped into a multi-living, multi-use, high amenity property. It's going to be awesome. But malls are dead, except for the great one. You know, in New Jersey, speaking of New Jersey, we have Short Hills Mall. Incredible mall. That mall is always going to be the premier mall in New Jersey. Gets the best tenants, gets the most traffic, the highest price point, average ticket spend per visitor, all those metrics. Short Hills Mall. All day long. Always has been. Every other mall in New Jersey, see you later.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about groceries is, on one hand, you think that, you know, it's fundamental food. Everyone needs to eat. So it seems like that should be a pretty strong metric. However, within the last 2 years, Instacart and Amazon Fresh and like all these kind of warehouse to deliver systems it makes you wonder, like, well, at some point, will these grocery stores just have to transition into warehouses that keep the food, and then that real estate will be in different ownership or a different situation? Yeah.
So you're referring to, I think, what a lot of people have been thinking for a while, which is when Amazon bought Whole Foods. Is really that's what's being set up there. Is Amazon's going to put the food in the Whole Foods stores, and they're going to use their premier and proprietary delivery and online sales systems to handle transactions. You can go to the store and pick it up. You can Instacart it for delivery. You can whatever. But I think all the other grocery retailers are now figuring out ways to do that too. But they need bigger footprints for distribution. And they're going to have their own online presence, perhaps. Yeah, I think it's all going in that direction.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if these kind of this expansion that's happening right now is something that's for the future, or if it's just kind of a short-term boom. Americans took out $66 billion in home equity lines of credit, or HELOCs, in the second quarter. It was a 40% increase from a year ago. Again, I'm going to play the rookie card here. What is a HELOC? And what do we need to understand about it?
You already said what it was, home equity line of credit. But give me the date again through the second quarter.
Yes, through the second quarter, there was a 40% increase from
Make a calendar note and come back to me in a few months and tell me what it was for Q3 and Q4 of this year. Because it's going to be a lot less, probably, 70 to 85% less than what it was in the first two quarters. Because the second two quarters is when all the interest rate hikes started happening.
Right.
Money was still cheap through the end of Q2. Not in Q3, not now. So the HELOCs are home equity lines of credit. It's what a homeowner can borrow against the equity of their home. Home equity line of credit. You get a line of credit based on the amount of equity you have in your home. So if you buy a home for $500,000 and you put $100,000 down, you get a mortgage for $400,000. Your home appreciates over time to, let's say, $1 million. You no longer have $100,000 of equity in your home. You now have $600,000 of equity in your home. The home that you bought for $500,000 is now worth $1 million, plus you put $100,000 down. So a home equity line of credit taps into the amount of equity. The bank is going to send an appraiser out. You'll get an appraisal done on your home. It'll appraise for $1 million. Your bank is going to say, all right, you have a mortgage for $400,000. You've got equity of $600,000. We'll give you a line of credit against some portion of that equity of $600,000 that you have. Perhaps out of the $600,000, we'll lend you $300,000 or $400,000. And that would be common for a bank to do. But they need an appraisal to back up their underwriting. You need to fill out a loan application. You have to have the proper credit. You have to be a strong borrower. But the home equity line of credit gives homeowners a way to access their equity without selling their house. Because a lot of people don't want to sell the house, but they want to take out the money, the equity, and use it for maybe a renovation or an addition. And so those are popular products because the bank loves to lend on those because you're going to put the money right back into their collateral. Right? You're going to borrow that HELOC and you're going to put that addition on or do the whole renovation or whatever you're going to do with the money. And it's only increasing the value of their collateral. It's an easy product for banks to underwrite. It's an easy deal for banks to want to do because your home is the collateral and you're putting the money into their collateral. So all day long, HELOCs, but beware, they're typically floating rates because it's a secondary position behind the first mortgage. So there you go.
According to CoStar, there were more than 3,200 apartments added to Nashville this quarter, which they say
are we really quoting CoStar?
Yeah, I mean, I
think a controversial source of data, but
that's true.
Sorry,
yeah.
I digress.
Okay.
Go ahead. According to CoStar, what happened?
Yeah, so the 3,200 apartments were added to Nashville this quarter. They're claiming that it's a record. I don't know if that's true.
Well, every city has record new housing starts right now. So, not just Nashville.
Yeah. And they said most of the construction is happening in places where parking mandates were lifted. Yeah. Do you see a correlation between parking mandates and construction areas where you're invested? Yeah.
George, all of the zoning, all of the restrictive laws that are on the books in all these cities everywhere are decades and decades old. Parking density is being revisited. There was all these parking mandates, like you can only build so much because you need all this land for parking. Well, the parking behavior of consumers is changing. Electric cars, walkable communities, a lot of bike and ride share communities. Parking density is not the same discussion that it was even 10 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when these laws were written. Yeah, Nashville, among a whole host of other places, looked at their parking mandates and pulled them back. They made them less restrictive. We talk all the time about unrestricting the very tight, highly regulated zoning rules that we have everywhere to allow for development. Nashville said, we don't need all the parking. Let's reduce it. We still need parking, but instead of 4 spaces per 1,000 square feet, we'll take 2 spaces per 1,000, or whatever it is that they said.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how properties get upzoned. That's how zoning laws get changed. That's what incentivizes development and people to come in and build and take risk.
I want to ask you about the 99% rule. Last May, we put out a video where you talked about the 1% and the 99%. And
I remember.
Yeah, you were quick to say that you weren't talking about wealth in that situation. You're talking
Correct.
about the mindset and the tendency to conform.
Yep.
You said, I'm going to quote you here. It says, if you think like 99% of other people in this world, then you are 99% more likely to receive the income of the 99%. But if you think like the 1%, you are 99% more likely to receive the income of the 1%. Do you still stand by that sentiment?
More than ever. More than ever. Income is completely correlated to mindset. Everything's a choice. Your career path, your trajectory to earn, it's all a choice. In our country, United States, the leading country, first world country, like if you live in a developed it doesn't have to be in the United States, but if you live in a first world country anywhere and you're not achieving the success that you want, then you got to really look at yourself, because the opportunity's there every day. All you have to do is choose. All you have to do is choose. It's that simple. The mindset, the limiting beliefs, and the crazy messaging and the mishigas and the mess that we all get from the world and from media and from parents and from teachers and haters and friends and everybody in our lives says, oh, can't do that and get a job and be a rat on a wheel and all that stuff. You don't have to do that. You can do whatever you want in this country and a lot of other places. It's a choice. Look, if you live in a lot of places on the planet, it's not so much of a choice.
Right.
You're probably going to be broke and unsuccessful and unhappy and unhealthy and a lot of other uns, right? But here, you can choose. You can really choose.
Yeah. In keeping in line with that idea of thinking like an individual, what's something that you believe that other people think is crazy? Or on the other hand, like what is something that other people believe that you think is crazy? I
think people look at me and think I'm crazy for the amount that I work. I work hard. I play hard. I mean, someone said to me last week, and a friend who knows me said, man, just make sure you don't work so hard that you burn out or that you, whatever else. And I don't. I mean, I work hard. No one outworks me, but I play hard too. But I think people think I'm crazy for how strong and fast I go. And I think that they're crazy for not matching. I think that people that don't work as hard as me are crazy. Yeah, I do. Because I think that's what it takes to live in this world. I don't think this world is built for lazy, complacent, whatever, flap in the breeze type of people. I don't. I think it eats you up. And then the mental health issues come in, and the depression comes in, and then everyone's upset and pissed off, and they're angry with the system, and screw the man, screw the world, screw the government. All that stuff starts to happen. Doesn't need to. Yeah, and I think you also get a lot of joy out of your work. Like I think people think when people talk about like, oh, that's crazy, he works so much. I think a lot of people are thinking like, oh, like it's such a grind to work, as opposed to that's something you actually enjoy doing. Listen, man, I love what I do. I don't love it 24/7. Right. But in general, I love what I do because I love the results. I don't often love going to the gym, but I like the results. I don't often love reading hundreds and thousands of pages of documents and whatever else I have to do for my job, but I do it because I like the result. At the end of all that, there's a result that I get that I like. And that's why you should do anything is for the benefit and the result. I get it done. Yeah. Sometimes I enjoy it. A lot of times I don't. Doesn't matter, but I like the result. I like the end benefit and the end result. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a goal line I'm trying to cross. That's what I'm gunning for. And I hit that goal line. And that's what I really enjoy. I like the achievement. I like the accomplishment. I like going from point A to point B quickly, efficiently, better. I like competing. I like winning. And that's what I like. So I may not love my job every day or components of it on different days, but I definitely like the result. So I think people who look at me and think I'm crazy for the work that I'm doing and how I choose to live and work, it's my choice, and I dig the benefit from it. Yeah. Other people are quick to say, I'm not going to work so much, or I'm not going to work so long or so hard because I want to watch Netflix or I want to whatever, right?
No.
I don't watch Netflix.
There's also something interesting that you know, so much of our conversations about business are actually about relationship. And so I think that's a common misconception I think people come into work with, is they think like, well, I can't prioritize my relationships and my work, when in actuality, you know, what you're doing is exactly that, which is you are prioritizing relationship through your business and vice versa. This might be a dead end question, but I'll try anyway. For those people who feel like they should be working harder, or they desire something greater, but are not putting forth the effort that you put forth, or is there anything you would recommend to, I don't know, get them motivated, get them into the system, get them into that kind of vibe?
Got to get your mind right.
Mm.
You got to be right. You got to be relentless. You have to not be a quitter. You know, basic stuff. You have to have a strong desire to succeed. You have to want to build and develop skill sets.
Yeah.
Apply them, seek knowledge, learn, grow, have a move forward mindset, always be moving, always be growing. And a lot of people are just happy not growing, not moving forward. Forward progress means work or effort or sacrifice. People don't want to make the sacrifice. You got to be okay with sacrifice and paying the price. You got to be able to write that check. You know, it's a check you got to write to learn skills. It's a check you got to write to get up early in the morning. It's a check you got to write to read and listen and ask questions and learn and grow. You know, that's the cost. But the benefit is you're moving forward and you're growing. You know, if you're happy with the way you are now and you don't want anything to change, God bless. I'm happy for you. But just don't complain when there's things that you want that you're not getting. That's all. But if you're happy with where you are and you're not complaining and you're not wanting for anything and you're the happiest person on earth right where you are, you've won. You beat me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not happy where I am right now. So that's why I'm always working towards it. I'm working towards a happiness that I don't know I'll ever achieve. I mean, I'm happy in many ways and parts of my life, but I mean, in the why keep working discussion that we're having now, I mean, I'm not happy. I want to keep doing and achieving. I mean, if I'm not achieving, I'm failing myself, my family, my community, my employees. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, that reminds me of, I was just editing our podcast with Barbara Majeski, and I think she said something along the lines of, I don't have to work, but I have work to do.
Love that. Well, that's Barbara. You know, she's got zingers all day.
But that reminds me, what you're saying is kind of reminding me of that sentiment. And just that, like, it's not something that you have to do, it's what you get to do. So anything else that's been on your mind? I know this has been like a busy week. I mean, I think every week is busy for you, but anything that's been on your mind that just kind of wanted to touch on before we head out? At
risk of boring you and our audience to death, I'll say no.
All right, that's fine.
I think I'm good and satisfied. This was a nice new environment for us to do this. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody who's watching for putting up with me in my home office today. Sorry, I'm not in my fancy studio with George. But look how good George looks, everybody. George, you look fantastic. Did you get a haircut?
I did. Yeah, I got
amazing.
The hell?
Look at that. God
bless. It was time.
Yeah, I got a haircut too.
Do you do that yourself?
I have a team of people that come in every day, twice a day. And they sit me down. I get a foot massage. I get a back massage. And two people tend to.
I wish that was true, because I would really love to film that process and have that be part of our Instagram. Cool. All right. Well, thanks you so much, Peter. I appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.
Take care.